I get angry when people make light of depression. It killed my friend. Habib was a dear classmate from Lahore, Pakistan at Washington State University during the 1981 to 1982 school year. And I took a break to work far away for a year and a half. And when I came back, I couldn't get together with Habib. He kept telling me he was too busy. And soon after, I went to work for IBM. And just after I went to work for IBM, my friend sent me this news clipping. Habib hung himself. His body had to be shipped back to his widowed mother in Pakistan. You know, what a sad event. When it was bitterly cold at WSU, Habib saw that I was cold in his judgment, and he gave me a sheepskin wool jacket to keep me warm, and it was from Pakistan. Christmas 2010 at Shandong University of Science and Technology, there were about 30 graduate students, and I saw most of them at the food court, and I decided to give them earmuffs because they were obviously very, very cold coming from the tropical climate they were used to. And then I remembered there were 4 students from Lahore, where Habib was from. And I asked the international office to give them a gift of warm hats and gloves in Habib's memory, which they did, and they were very grateful. I was glad I could honor his memory. If only depressed people can be pointed by friends and university counselors to get help. The alternative may be, as I have personally experienced, to live with decades of tears. It's been 39 years and I still tear up thinking about it. Following videos will cover how to tell if a friend is severely depressed, my own personal experience struggling with depression, how depression is treated, and famous people with depression. And Brad was Habib's friend too. And now I want to ask him to come up and give his words.
Habib and I had lunch in the cafeteria 2 or 3 times a week. We enjoyed each other, laughed together, we took trips together, and I was sad when I heard that he'd hung himself. I think about him frequently. Depression is a bad thing. We need to encourage each other.
Okay. Yeah. I taught in China for 21 years, and one thing I always looked forward to is the Spring Festival Gala. In 2001, I and our children had video memories of Coco Lee, who sang Good Feelings. Hao Xiqing, and I was so sad when I heard recently she committed suicide after a long period of depression. And my students in China asked me, how can we spot depression so we can point our friends to get help? And here are symptoms. They're pretty much what's in the official diagnosis of depression manual by the official psychiatric association. Signs of depression in your friends, you may see include low spirits, crying, angry outbursts, no interest in life or pleasure, difficulty concentrating or remembering, avoiding friends, as my friend Habib did, low confidence and self-esteem, changes in appetite or sleep. They can't sleep, or they sleep all the time. They can't eat, or they eat all the time. Having no energy, feeling sluggish and inactive in either body or thoughts, no hope, feelings of extreme inappropriate guilt, as well as doubt over previous decisions, thinking or talking of suicide, and pains that can't be explained, like headaches or stomach aches. In China especially, because people like to bury their feelings, a lot of it comes out physically. And if you have 5 or more of these symptoms in a short period of time, it's a good indicator a person is having a major depressive episode. And the odds, now I don't have the figures in front of me, but I think I remember hearing about 10% of clinical depressed people attempt suicide. So if you see half of these symptoms, get your friends help. They're in deep trouble. And you wouldn't want to have them kill themselves and you did nothing to get them help. You have regrets the rest of your life. Okay. Okay, when I hear of people who are depressed, I understand because I had a period of severe depression. It's not normal sadness. I worked for IBM for many years in South Florida, and they closed their lab where I always had a window office and moved me from sunny Florida to North Carolina, which is a lot more cloudy, and put me in an office with no windows. Office building, there was not a single window in the building. And when we relocated in January 1995, immediately I felt terrible. And I felt terrible for 3 years. I felt terribly depressed. I felt hopeless to the point of thinking about suicide, but I knew I needed to stay for my dear family. I couldn't think clearly and felt slowed down in everything I did. In early 1996, I realized I needed some help and had this standard treatment, cognitive behavioral therapy, and it helped, but I became depressed again the next winter, and my family MD put me on standard medicines called SSRIs, and I felt better. But I mentioned to my family MD in January 98, I felt fine until I left Florida, and she said, you have seasonal affective disorder, also called winter blues. The severe form is seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. This is a winter depression caused by a lack of sunshine and short days in winter. I saw a specialist, one of only a few in the state, who said, absolutely, your daughter's got it too, it runs in families. And the treatment for most people is using very bright lights called SAD lamps. Now, I also needed to add SSRIs because my case is extremely severe. And with that, I do okay. Especially in Qingdao. Qingdao is pretty nice and sunny. There are places I gone in China which are a lot more cloudy, but Qingdao is sunny. And having gone through severe depression from SAD, I understand people who get depressed because I've been there. And my particular depression had a physical cause, although the majority of depressions are more life circumstances. A trained professional can help diagnose the problem and figure out whether it's purely psychological or physical. I mean, the experts know what to do and how to treat things. So please do all you can to steer those around you to get help for depression. Trained professional counselors are available for help. I know every university I taught in China had some student counseling service available. The alternative maybe is I experienced after my friend's suicide, Habib, decades of tears. Get your friend help. Okay. Okay. Now is a good time to get depressed. There are good treatments that are very effective. I'm going to talk about a victim of the time, maybe 70 years ago, 80 years ago, when there was no good treatment of depression. Minnie Vatran is a hero of China. She's mentioned in the, recognized in the Nanjing Massacre Museum. She was a teacher in China responsible for what's become one of the major universities in China, in Nanjing. A friend of mine, his wife got her PhD at the school. And they told her the Japanese soldiers are approaching, and she said, I can't leave, these are my children, I've got to keep them safe. And she saw so many horrors. In her school, she couldn't go anywhere because if she would leave her school, it was full of women refugees. Japanese soldiers would come in and start raping women. And she saw so many people killed, so many horrors. But she was faithful and saved probably 100,000 lives in this time in the late 1930s. This horrible time. But she had a nervous breakdown, and in 1939 went back to America and killed herself a year later with poison gas from her gas stove. Back then, there was no good treatment for depression. Freud was popular, but Freud's theories have never been shown to work for depression. For depression, the only medical treatments were the brutal brain surgery of lobotomy, insulin shock therapy. There were things that are used today, electroshock therapy, and not very nice, but it did have some effect, although people lost their memories, which is not nice to do, but it does work and is still used in severe cases. But basically, she lived in a time where if you were depressed, there was very little doctors could do to help you. Now it's different. We have very effective treatments. And in the next segment, I'm going to cover what some of those treatments are. Okay. Yeah, now is a good time to be depressed. There are very effective treatments. We're a combination of hardware and software. We have our thoughts and we have our bodies, and they react in very strange ways. So for some people, the treatment of depression may be medicine. For some people, it may be psychological therapy. And for some people, it may be a combination. But we're into the area of evidence-based medicine. Psychiatrists and psychologists to look at what works and prove that it works. Okay, so how is depression treated? There are medicines, and they may not work immediately. They usually take at least a month or so to work, but they do work. Unfortunately, different people react differently, so they have to switch them around and see what works for a particular patient. And some people are helped by both medicine and psychotherapy together. The most common psychotherapy, which is proved to work, although there are others that work, is called cognitive behavioral therapy. Basically, your wrong thoughts make you depressed. Think in a different way. And teach clients to correct things like overgeneralization. Because you failed the exam doesn't mean you'll be a poor person on the street and will never get married. Filtering, only paying attention to minor things while ignoring the big picture. Discounting the positive, only paying attention to bad things. Jumping to conclusions, believing things are true without sufficient evidence. She smiled at me doesn't mean she's planning the wedding already. And mind reading. You cannot know what somebody else is thinking. I do not believe in extrasensory perception. I do not think we have telepathy. We may think we know what somebody is thinking, but unless we're talking about ourselves, we don't. Predictive thinking, we don't know for certain what will happen. You feel like you're in love. That doesn't mean you marry the girl or she's in love with you. Or you fought. That doesn't mean you'll never marry her. You just don't know. Life is complicated. And predictive thinking, we don't know for certain what will happen. You aced the test doesn't mean you'll be a Nobel Prize winner. You did well, poorly doesn't mean you're going to flunk out of college. magnification. We magnify negative events and minimize positive events. And oh, by the way, doing that is a big prediction. If you're a married couple, it's not going to be very happy. Emotional reasoning, because we think something must be true, it is true. Saying we should or must. Perfectionists say you should, you must do things my way, or the highway is an English expression. And labeling, you are stupid, or you're a genius. That's not a good way to behave. And personalization, just because something bad happens, we think it's everybody's fault. Maybe it's just a random event that had nothing to do with anybody. Catastrophizing, thinking disaster will come from one event. If your girlfriend breaks with you, it doesn't mean your life will end in disaster. And black and white thinking, everything is black or white. Either you're the best student in the class or the worst, or you have to get into Harvard or you must give up. And a Chinese website with information on CBT in both Chinese and English is www.cbtchina.com.cn. Okay, thank you. Okay, many feel ashamed they're depressed. Why? Why shema? That's a bad way to think. Many of the greatest people in the world who have accomplished greatest things have also suffered long periods of depression. And many types of depression are associated with high levels of creativity. And such people have really benefited the world. And here's a short list of great people who struggled with depression. Hong Kong pop star Sammy Chen. She's very open about her struggle with depression after a fellow pop star committed suicide. And she doesn't have it easy, especially when her husband's adultery became public. But she keeps on going. Tennis great Naomi Osaka took time away from her tennis to deal with depression. And we all know, sadly, pop great Coco Lee killed herself a short while ago. Abraham Lincoln fought clinical depression all his life and was known for being melancholy. But he saved America from disappearing as a nation. And great scientist Isaac Newton had great periods of depression and elation. Today he would probably be diagnosed as a manic depressive, sometimes very high, sometimes very low. And in music, great classical musician George Frederick Handel composed his great Messiah in 3 to 4 weeks, and he probably suffered from winter depression just like I do. The seasonal affective disorder expert in his Bible of seasonal affective disorders points to him as an example. And he donated the money from performing Messiah to a charity for abandoned and orphan children. So he did good things. And Gustav Mahler, one of my favorite musicians, is also mentioned as, he didn't know it, but he had said every winter he would just cling to the window. And in the summer he would write the world's longest and greatest symphonies. It's arguable, but many musical experts think that Mahler surpassed Beethoven. His symphonies are greater than Beethoven's. And he's known for his emotional depth, which probably reflects his moods, great lows, great highs. And after September 11th, first year anniversary, they played his Symphony No. 2, which his theme is, there is life after death. And people thought that was very appropriate. It ends with the message of trust, hope, there is life beyond the grave. So if you're feeling depressed, don't be ashamed. Some of the greatest people in the world who've helped the most people have suffered greatly from depression. Get the help you need, but don't be ashamed. You're not losing face. There are great people who have benefited the world greatly and who have been greatly depressed. So get help. Don't be ashamed.
Dir will ich